warrant you have in Tucson City Court. You have 2 warrants for criminal trespass in the 3rd degree. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. All I'm going to do tonight is tell you when your next hearing is and set release conditions. I see from your file there are other holds. I'm not dealing with them. All I'm dealing with are these warrants out of Tucson City Court, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Based on the information I have, what I'm going to do, and just so it's real clear, Mr. Khed, I'm going to release you on these. This won't affect your hold status on the other matters, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to release you on your promise to appear at the next hearing, and you're going to get all this in writing, so you don't have to memorize it. You'll get it in writing. On January 7, 2025, in Tucson City Court in front of Judge Cranshaw, it's a pretrial hearing. If you are released on the other matters and then you'll get released on this, I got some rules and I can put in place. Don't possess or consume alcoholic beverages or illegal drugs. Do not possess any firearms. Surrender any you have. No contact with the alleged victims of the criminal trespass of the 3rd degree, the property owners, and do not go to the incident location. Okay, you're going to get all this in writing. And again, this won't affect, looks like you may have a probation hold or something. All I'm doing is talking about the Tucson City Court matters, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, you take care of yourself, all right?
You too.
All right. Okay, you can go ahead and go. Thanks. Just whatever the jail officers say.
Judge, the next one, Vincent, neighbor refused, so this is the one after that, Benjamin.
Okay, thank you. And I think we have a couple of interpreter matters, and I know we have do we have the interpreter online somewhere?
We do not need an interpreter.
Good evening, Your Honor. This is the Spanish interpreter.
Good evening. Officer in the jail, if it's not too much of a logistical problem, if you could move up those Spanish speakers at some point, I'm sure the interpreter would appreciate it, and that way we won't tie her up unnecessarily. But whatever you guys can do.
Yeah, we'll get him next.
Yeah, we'll get him next because he's our last host.
You guys at the jail are just something else.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, let's see. Now we're going to deal with the next one. Let's see. So this is Mr. Manos, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, be right with you, Mr. Manos. Let me get my act together. All right.
Yes, sir.
You are Benjamin Manos?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Wait a minute. We need a public defender. Hold on. We get a public defender to sit next to you. Don't we? Yeah.
Let me get him, Your Honor.
Thank you. Sit tight, Mr. Manos. Appreciate your patience.
No problems.
So I'm gonna put Mr. Neighbor on tomorrow's morning session. Yeah, he already was continued once. Okay.
Oh, okay. Seriously. Okay.
Well, hello. Who do we have? I can only see part of you. Hello, Twyla. How are you?
Hi. Good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Let me know when you're ready, and we'll take your time.
I'm ready, Judge. I'm ready when you are.
All right. Okay, Benjamin Manos. Let's see, you already confirmed your name, Mr. Manos. Good evening. This is a time set for what's something called your initial appearance. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Let me pull your name up here on this computer I have in front of me. All right, Mr. Manos, what I'm going to do tonight is set release conditions. You'll hear a voice. It's the representative from the prosecutor's office, and I'll hear from the lady next to you. She's a very experienced public defender. Then I'll tell you when your next hearing is and what the release conditions are. Okay, Mr. Goodman, looks like you're asking for $10,000 bond with pretrial services.
That's correct, Your Honor, based on the nature of the offenses, his criminal history, and what he's on felony probation for currently.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Judge, we're asking for a $2,000 bond for Mr. Manos. He's currently in custody for other charges and hasn't been able to post that bond. So we're asking for a $2,000 bond. He's been living in Tucson for 39 years.
Well, I'm sorry. I also meant to say, on the interim complaint, it alleges, among other things, criminal damage. I did not find sufficient probable cause to support the criminal damage claim. There's no indication of any damage amount on the hit and run. I did find probable cause on all the others, but I did not find it on the criminal damage. Mr. Goodman, do you need to make a record on that?
No, Your Honor, that's okay.
Okay, I mean, it won't affect his hold status. It just says, it just mentions a hit and run, but nothing else. Okay, what I'm going to do is as follows. I'm going to order that Mr. Manos be held on $10,000 bond, cash or secured. Should Mr. Manos post bond, pretrial services supervision shall be in place. Should he post bond, no alcohol or illegal drugs. Do not drive without a valid license. Do not firearms or weapons. Surrender any firearms that he has. Submit to monitoring and treatment as directed by pretrial services. No contact with the alleged victims of the various charges, and do not return to the incident location of where the car was stolen. Allegedly, I'm going to appoint contract attorney Sarah Wright to represent Mr. Manos in this matter. The next hearing will be the preliminary hearing on December 20, 2024 at 1:30 p.m. Mr. Manos, if you do post bond, and you also got another hold, so you probably will be in custody and you'll be transported. That date may change. Just keep in touch with Ms. Wright if you do post bond and with pretrial services. Okay, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you take care.
Garcia.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Okay, here's Garcia, the first Spanish speaker.
Okay, you ready, Madam Interpreter?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
Good evening. Are you? Stand by, please. Sorry.
Esta es la traductora. Solamente necesito esperar porque ella te explica lo que está pasando.
One moment, please.
Un momento, por favor.
You have 7. Good evening. Are you Arturo Garcia?
Buenas noches, ¿es usted Arturo García? Yes, sir.
Sí, señor.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Garcia. This is a time set for initial appearance. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you.
Buenas noches, señor García. Esta es su audiencia inicial programada para el día de hoy. Cualquier cosa que diga pudiera ser o es usado en su contra.
Mr. Garcia, I'm looking at a couple things. First, a complaint from DPS for theft of means of transportation ×2 and third-degree burglary.
Estoy viendo algunas cosas aquí y olvidé mencionarle que tiene derecho a permanecer en silencio. Número 1, tiene usted aquí una queja de DPS por hurto con méritos de transportación en el 3er grado por 2.
And also, there's a warrant out of Tucson City Court for misdemeanor assault and disorderly conduct.
Y también tiene una orden de aprehensión del Tribunal Municipal de Tucson por agresión y por conducta escandalosa.
All I'm gonna do now, sir, is set release conditions and tell you when your next hearing is.
Lo que voy a hacer ahorita, señor, solamente es les voy a dar sus condiciones de liberación y decirle cuándo es su próxima comparecencia.
Okay, Mr. Goodman, state's requesting $10,000 cash or secured plus pretrial services, yes?
Do you want to interpret first?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Señor, el señor fiscal está pidiendo usted $10,000 en efectivo, una fianza asegurada, más los servicios precondenatorios.
Your Honor, we're requesting that due to his felony history. He's got 3 prior felony convictions involving very similar conduct, and he's maxed out on both scales.
Su señoría, dado a sus antecedentes penales, tiene 3 cargos y 3 condenas muy similares, iguales, y dado a eso, ya cumplió ya con May the state repeat the last part, please?
He's maxed out on both scales, which are the
Okay.
new criminal activity and failure to
Okay.
appear scale.
Y ya maximizó usted las tres escalas, los tres niveles, por no cumplir y por falta de comparecencia.
Thank you. Ms. Haggerty.
Señorita Haggerty, gracias.
Judge, we're asking that Mr. Garcia is released to pretrial services or a $2,000 bond if you're not inclined.
Su señoría, estamos pidiendo que el señor García sea liberado de los servicios precondenatorios y si no se inclina a eso, una fianza de $2,000.
He's
Thank-
fully employed.
Go ahead, I'm
He-
sorry.
He's fully employed. Pretrial services identified this as a nonviolent felony, and he's lived in Tucson for over 15 years.
Tiene empleo completamente, los servicios precondenatorios ha mencionado que tiene empleo anterior y no tiene delitos violentos.
Thank you. Given his criminal history, his pretrial services score, and the other pending matters, I do find that bond is warranted.
Dado a la calificación de los servicios precondenatorios, sus antecedentes, veo que sí califica para la fianza.
I'm going to order bond in the amount of $10,000 cash and secured pretrial services supervision if bond is posted.
Voy a ordenar una fianza de $10,000 en efectivo asegurado y que si se deposita la fianza, que se reporte usted con los servicios precondenatorios.
Defendant shall not drive without a valid license.
Y el acusado no deberá de conducir sin una licencia válida.
No alcohol or illegal drugs.
Nada de alcohol ni drogas ilegales.
No firearms or weapons and surrender any that he does have.
Y que no vaya a tener armas de fuego o armas y que dé de alta las armas que tenga si es que las llega a tener,
Monitoring
que
or
las entregue.
treatment is directed by pretrial services.
Y el tratamiento tal y como lo monitoree o lo pide los servicios precondenatorios
Do not have any contact with the alleged victims.
y no tener contacto con las supuestas víctimas
Do not go to the alleged incident location.
y no ir al lugar de los hechos, al supuesto lugar de los hechos.
The next hearing is the preliminary hearing on December 20, 2024 at 1:30 p.m.
La próxima audiencia será una audiencia preliminar el día 20 de diciembre a la 1:30.
Mr. Garcia, if you post bond, it's important you keep in touch with your lawyer and with pretrial services.
Señor García, si llega a depositar la fianza, es muy importante que mantenga usted contacto con su abogado y con los servicios precondenatorios.
That preliminary hearing date will likely change, and the only way you'll know that is if you keep in touch with those people.
Y la fecha de su audiencia preliminar, lo más seguro es que llegue a cambiar y la única manera que se va a enterar usted es si tiene contacto con esas personas.
Mr. Garcia, you also have warrants out of Pima County Consolidated Justice Court.
Señor García, también tiene órdenes de aprehensión en el Tribunal de Justicia Consolidado de Pima.
I see two warrants for driving with a suspended license and for failure to appear.
Tiene dos órdenes de aprehensión, una por conducir con la licencia suspendida y otra por no comparecer.
On these, I'm going to order as follows.
En estas voy a ordenar lo siguiente.
One moment.
Un momento.
Thanks.
On both of these warrants, I'm going to order you be released on your promise to appear.
En ambas órdenes de aprehensión voy a liberarlo bajo su promesa de que va a comparecer.
Release conditions include do not drive without a valid license and no alcohol or illegal drugs.
Parte de las de las directrices de poder salir de las condiciones es que no vaya a conducir con una licencia inválida y que no vaya a consumir nada de drogas ni alcohol.
Your next hearing in each case is going to be on January 9, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. in Pima County Justice Court.
Su próxima comparecencia por estos dos cargos será enero 9 de 2025 a las 8:30 de la mañana en el Tribunal de Justicia del Condado Pima.
It will be the arraignment in front of Judge Steele.
Será la lectura de cargo delante del juez Steele.
If you're still being held on the felony, you will be transported, I assume, to a video courtroom to appear for that.
Y si aún está usted encarcelado por el delito, cargo del delito mayor, lo van a transportar a usted a una de las salas para tener una videoaudiencia.
If you are released on the felony hold, you need to make sure you appear at Tucson City Court on January 9, 2025 at 8:30 a.m.
Y si sale usted bajo fianza, tiene que asegurarse que comparezca usted al Tribunal Municipal de Tucson el día 9 de enero 2025 a las 8:30 de la mañana.
You're going to get all this information in writing.
Toda esta información se la darán por escrito.
And I'm sorry, we're still not done.
Y disculpe que aún no hemos terminado.
You also have the warrant for misdemeanor assault and misdemeanor disorderly conduct fighting in Tucson City Court.
También tiene la orden de aprehensión por el delito menor de agresión y en el Tribunal Municipal de Tucson y conducta escandalosa.
I'm going to order you be released on your promise to appear at the future court date of January 13, 2025 at 2:30.
Y voy a ordenar que va a regresar usted, se va a presentar bajo su propia palabra el día 13 de enero 2025 a las 2:30 de la tarde al Tribunal Municipal de Tucson.
That will be in Tucson City Court in front of Judge Verena.
Va a ser en el Tribunal Municipal de Tucson ante la juez Verena.
Conditions include possess or consume no alcoholic beverages or illegal drugs.
Las condiciones son que no vaya a poseer ni tomar drogas ilegales ni consumir alcohol.
Possess no firearms or weapons and surrender any firearms that you do have to the Tucson Police Department.
No debe poseer ningún arma o arma de fuego y si usted tiene armas de fuego las tiene que ir a entregar al Departamento de Policía de Tucson.
No contact with the alleged victim and do not return to the incident location.
No tener contacto con las supuestas víctimas y no regresar al lugar de los hechos.
Okay, Mr. Garcia, you're going to get all this in writing. Thank you.
Señor García, le darán todo esto por escrito.
Judge, I'm so sorry, I missed which office is appointed on the felony.
Oh, that's probably because they didn't stay. I'm sorry.
¿Qué oficina será nombrada para el delito menor?
Point.
No dijeron.
I'm sorry, Twyla. Thank you. It's public defenders.
Thank you.
La oficina de abogados de oficio.
Okay, thank you, sir. We have
Gracias, señor.
one
Gracias,
Madam Interpreter.
Thank you, Judge.
Martinez. Garcia. Let's go back there.
Hay un traductor, quiero traductor o no quiero.
Sí, quiero traductor.
Okay.
Good evening. Are you Omar Martinez?
Buenas
Sir.
noches, ¿es usted Omar Martínez?
Sí, claro.
Yes, of course.
Okay. Mr. Martinez, this is the time set for your initial appearance.
Señor Martínez, esta es la hora programada para su lectura de cargo inicial.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you.
Tiene el derecho a permanecer en silencio. Cualquier cosa que diga pudiera ser usado en su contra.
Sí.
Yes.
Looks like I see a complaint filed by the Tucson Police Department for one count of possession of a dangerous drug.
Tengo aquí una queja del Departamento de Policía de posesión de droga peligrosa
And one count of possession of narcotic paraphernalia.
y un cargo de posesión de objetos para uso de droga.
Also, we have something out of Tucson City Court, misdemeanor criminal damage.
También tenemos algo del Tribunal Municipal de Tucson, que es un delito menor, daños ilegales.
I'm going to handle the felony drug matter first.
Primero voy a llevar a cabo lo del delito mayor, el asunto de droga.
I'll hear first from the state what they recommend, and then from the public defender sitting next to you.
Primero voy a escuchar por parte del Estado a ver qué recomiendan ellos y después escucharé sobre su abogada de oficio sentada enseguida de usted.
Okay, Mr. Goodman, you're requesting $5,000 plus pretrial services?
Señor Goodman, está pidiendo usted $5,000 más los servicios precondenatorios.
Yes, Your Honor, in addition to a SMART hearing date, as the court's aware, based on the interim complaint, he bashed in, I guess, a neighbor's window, had some drugs on him, and he's currently on felony release for a prohibited possessor matter.
Sí, su señoría, agregaría al tribunal SMART, llegó él a la casa del vecino, le pegó a la ventana y le encontraron drogas en su persona.
Okay, Ms. Haggerty.
Señorita Haggerty.
Judge, we're asking that Mr. Martinez is released to pretrial services, or if you're not inclined, a lower bond. He is self-employed. He is eligible for SMART court, and he's a lifelong.
Su señoría, pediría que lo pasara a los servicios precondenatorios y si no se inclina a una fianza más baja. Él tiene empleo por su cuenta y ha sido residente de Tucson por un tiempo bastante largo.
Thank you. I do think
Gracias.
bond is warranted given the information provided.
Dado la información que se ha entregado, veo yo que una fianza será adecuada.
I will impose bond in the amount of $2,500 cash or secured.
Voy a imponer una fianza de $2,500 en efectivo o asegurada.
Pretrial supervision shall be ordered should Mr. Martinez post bond.
Si el señor Martínez llega a depositar la fianza, será ordenada la supervisión de los servicios precondenatorios.
Release conditions include no alcohol or illegal drugs.
Las condiciones de su liberación es que no vaya a haber nada de alcohol ni drogas,
No firearms and surrender any firearms that he does have.
nada de armas de fuego y tiene que entregar, si tiene armas de fuego, las tiene que entregar.
Monitoring and treatment as directed by pretrial services.
Hacer el monitoreo y el tratamiento tal y sea como dirigido por los servicios precondenatorios.
I will appoint the public defender's office to represent Mr. Martinez.
Le voy a nombrar un abogado a la oficina de abogados de oficios para que represente al señor Martínez.
I'm going to set a SMART court hearing for Mr. Martinez on December 17, 2024 at 9 a.m.
Y voy a programar una audiencia SMART para el señor Martínez el día 17 de diciembre 2024 a las 9 de la mañana.
Mr. Martinez, the SMART program is something we offer to people who have drug problems, and if you can get help with the drug problem and help on many other things.
Señor Martínez, el programa SMART, el tribunal de SMART, está programado para personas que tienen problemas con drogas. Y si se le puede ayudar ese programa para que le den ayuda, le puede ayudar.
The judges who run it, Judge Miller and Judge Hampton, are very talented at what they do, and hopefully you take advantage and get some help.
Y los jueces que llevan a cabo eso, el juez Hamster y la juez Millian, ellos son muy talentosos y espero tome ventaja para que consiga ayuda.
Okay, I'm also going to do the initial appearance and arraignment on the city court matter.
También voy a hacer su comparecencia inicial, su lectura de cargo en el asunto del tribunal municipal.
And Your Honor, did you set a 10-day PH on the felony because he's held?
I did not. Can you, I think I put the wrong.
Y su señoría puso una PH por su delito menor. Ahorita que está detenido, no.
Miss, Madam Interpreter, I don't need you to interpret this.
Okay.
I put, did I put the right in custody date for the pretrial? All right, I got it right. Right, did I do that right on Mr. Martinez's? Okay, I didn't put the out of custody SMART hearing date. I might have.
The PH date, Judge.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, I put the wrong date. I put the out of custody. Can you change that to 12/20? Okay, good catch, Pete. Or actually, was that Twyla?
No, that was Peter.
Okay, thank you. Okay, back on, Madam Interpreter. Mr. Martinez, you've been charged in you've been charged in Tucson City Court with criminal defacing or damaging property.
Señor, le han hecho un cargo del Tribunal Municipal de Tucson por desfiguramiento, por destrozar algo,
Again, you have,
propiedad.
you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you.
Igual tiene el derecho de permanecer en silencio. Cualquier cosa que diga pudiera ser usado en su contra.
You're presumed innocent of the charge.
Usted es presunto inocente del cargo.
I will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf.
Presentaré una declaración de no culpable
I'm going to release you on your promise to appear on this matter.
y por este asunto lo liberaré bajo su promesa de que va a comparecer.
The next hearing is on January 14, 2025 at 9 a.m., the pretrial conference in front of Judge Sarano.
Enfrente de la juez Soreo va a tener una audiencia previa el día 14 de enero a las 9 de la mañana.
This is in
No pregunta.
Tucson City Court.
Esto será en el Tribunal Municipal de Tucson.
Conditions include, release conditions include possess or consume no alcoholic beverages or illegal drugs.
Y las condiciones de su liberación es que no vaya a poseer ni consumir bebidas alcohólicas ni drogas.
Possess no firearms or weapons and surrender any that you do have to the Tucson Police Department.
Y no poseer nada de armas ni armas de fuego. Y si las tiene, tiene que entregarlas al Departamento de Policía de Tucson.
No contact with the property owner.
No tener contacto con el dueño de la propiedad.
Do not return to the incident location.
Y no regresar al lugar del incidente.
Mr. Martinez, if you do not appear in this matter, a warrant will issue.
Señor Martínez, si no se presenta usted por este asunto, habrá una orden de aprehensión.
The case could go to trial in your absence,
El caso pudiera llevarse a cabo en su ausencia, el juicio.
and if you were found guilty and we couldn't track you down in 90 days to sentence you, you'd lose your right on appeal.
Si lo encuentran culpable y no se aparece usted dentro de 90 días, pierde su derecho de apelar.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Muy bien, señor, gracias.
Madam Interpreter, es todo.
Yes, Your Honor.
Es todo.
Es todo, gracias.
Oh, hold on.
He may have a question. I'm gonna talk to him really, really quick, but we may need the interpreter. Just one
Okay.
second.
Thank you.
Momento. Hmm? Wow.
No questions, Judge.
Thank you, brother. Okay, who do we have?
May I be excused, Your Honor?
Keep that, that's yours. You have my work in those papers.
None.
Okay, you can pay it through family, so I don't think you pay this. You have to have somebody. All right, well, I'll answer questions later. What's your name? You're not up yet. There's yours. Razura.
Good evening, are you Luis Razura?
Yes.
Good evening, sir. This is the time set for your initial appearance. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Let's see what we have here for you. Oh, boy, we got a lot with you, yeah. All right, Mr. Razura, I have a couple of matters in a couple of courts. And first, I'm going to handle the one in Marana City Court. Looks like in that matter, you've been charged with shoplifting, value of less than $1,000. I see we have an address on West Higgins Lane. Is that still a good address, sir?
Yes, that's a good address, Chair.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that. What?
Yes, that's a good address too.
Okay, that's a good address where you can get mail and notification?
Yes.
Okay, great. What I'm gonna do in this one, this is the Marana City Court case. You got a couple, so we gotta deal with these. The Marana City Court case, I'm going to order you released on your promise to appear at the next hearing in Marana City Court on January 8th, 2025 at 10 a.m. You're gonna get this in writing, so no worries, all right? But listen, I'm
Okay.
gonna put in place some rules. No alcohol or illegal drugs. No contact with the CVS,
Okay.
the victim business. I don't want you going back to that store. Do not go to the incident location. See if I need to mark anything else on here. I think we're good there. So that's the Marana court case one. You're gonna get this, let me see if I got everything. You're gonna get this in writing, so, never mind. No excuses. You got to make sure you appear. There we go. All right. The machine was giving me a hard time, but we got to deal with some other things. I got a big stack of Tucson City Court stuff. Couldn't even fit them all in the folder. That's a lot. All right. Looks like you have warrants at a Tucson City Court for theft, resisting arrest, false report, criminal trespass times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and possession of drug paraphernalia. Yeah, you got a bunch of warrants out of Tucson City Court. Looks like you also have failures to appear. Given that, given all your warrants, I think some bond is necessary to make sure you show up the next one. So I'm going to order bond in the amount of $500 cash or secured on these matters. If you post bond, no, do not possess or consume alcoholic beverages or illegal drugs. No contact of any kind with the victim property owners. Do not go to the incident locations. I'm going to appoint the city public defender's office to represent you. The next hearing in this matter will be on December 20, 2024, 1:45 p.m. It's going to be a video review hearing in front of Judge Hale in Tucson City Court. It's also the pretrial. If you post bond, you got to make sure you show up. If not, the jail will make the arrangements for you to be there by video. You're going to get all this in writing. Okay, sir?
Okay.
Okay, you take care.
All right, you can sit out there. Go ahead and go.
Bye.
Taylor.
All right. Good evening.
Good evening.
You're Mr. Taylor.
Yes, sir.
Be right with you, Mr. Taylor. Let me just read something here very quickly. I appreciate your patience.
And I believe there's a victim here for this misdemeanor, Judge.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Taylor, you are James Michael Taylor, yes?
Yes, sir.
Taylor, it's time set for your initial appearance. You have, let's see, 2 counts of misdemeanor domestic violence assault and 3 counts of misdemeanor disturbing disorderly conduct. Those are the allegations. You're presumed innocent of them. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to set release conditions and tell you when your next hearing is. Per the Arizona Constitution, any victim has the opportunity to talk to me and let me know what he or she thinks about these issues. So I'm going to hear from one, I believe. Do we have somebody on the line on this who wished to? Did I see you, Mrs. Taylor?
Yes,
Hi, are you?
yes, I'm here.
Are you Janet Taylor?
Yes.
Good evening, Miss Taylor. I know this is difficult. I'll try to make it not so much. All I'm doing tonight is I'm setting release conditions and telling Mr. Taylor when the next hearing is. So I just wondered, is there anything that you want me to think about? And I did read the pretrial services report, so I did get information from them when I make a decision about what I should do for release conditions.
Yes, I'm I just wanted to say that first of all, I've been fearing for my life and my family's life over the last week plus since the date of the incident. And I do not feel safe, having James Taylor out on the streets at all. I do not feel safe. I just want to make sure that that's really clear to everyone.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Taylor, I see we have an address on West Crestview Circle. Is that still a current address?
That's not a current address. I'm currently part of a residential treatment program as part of Catalina Behavioral Health.
Okay. And Miss Taylor, is that Crestview Circle address where you live?
Yes, that is my address. And I should note that I have an active protection order that covers that address, as well as myself and our 2 minor children.
Okay. What I'm going to order is as follows. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $5,000 cash to secured. Should the defendant post bond, no alcohol or no drugs, no active domestic violence. Surrender any firearms, no firearms or weapons. No contact with the alleged victims, that is Janet Taylor or the minor children, Tony Wages or Julie Perry. Do not go to the victim's residence or work. I'm going to appoint contract attorney Janet Altschuler to represent Mr. Taylor. And I'm going to modify my earlier order. I'm going to make it $10,000 cash or secured. The next hearing is the arraignment on December 11, 2024 at 1 p.m. in Tucson City. No, I'm sorry. This is Pima County Justice Court in front of Judge Ball. Mr. Taylor, that's tomorrow. If you post bond, you have to be there. If not, a warrant will issue. If you don't post bond, you'll be transported, I would imagine, by way of video appearance. Okay. You're going to get all this in writing, Mr. Taylor. Thank you. You're excused.
Yeah, the Samurai, please sit down right here.
Trade you. Wait. Hello, are you Maricela Samarano?
Yes, sir.
Hi, let me pull up your file. I'll be right with you, okay? Appreciate your patience. See. Good evening, ma'am. This is the time set for your initial appearance and arraignment. You've been charged at a Tucson City Court with 1 count of interfering with a judicial order. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. All I'm going to do tonight is I'll enter pleas of not guilty and denials of any allegations that have been filed against you. You're presumed innocent of the charge. All I'm going to do tonight is set the next hearing and put some conditions in place. Based on the information provided to me, Ms. Samarano, I'm going to order as follows. I'm going to order that you be released on your promise to appear at all future court dates. Your next court hearing would be on January 10, 2025 at 9 a.m. in Tucson City Court. You're going to be in front of Judge Lisa Sarano. I got to write that down. Stand by. My conditions of release include possess or consume no alcoholic beverages or illegal drugs, commit no acts of domestic violence, do not have any contact with the named victim, that is Elena Hidalgo, and do not go to the incident location. Can you follow those rules, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you're going to get all this in writing. You'll be released a little later tonight. Make sure you show up for that hearing and make sure you follow those rules I just put out, because if not, it'll just mean more charges and more trouble, okay?
Gotcha.
Things work out for you, ma'am. I really do. You take care.
Thank you.
Then step aside. Thomas.
What judge is this?
Hello, are you Dante Thomas?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Thomas. This is the time set for your initial appearance and arraignment. You got a charge out of Tucson City Court for obstructing refusal to provide truthful name. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You're presumed innocent of the charge. I'll enter a plea of not guilty and I'll enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. All I'm going to do tonight is set release conditions and tell you when your next hearing is. Based on information available to me, what I'm going to order is as follows. I'm going to order that you be released on your promise to appear at all future court dates and that you not possess or consume alcoholic beverages or illegal drugs. Can you do that?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Now listen, if you don't make the hearing, a warrant will issue. And if that happens, the matter could go to trial in your absence. You could be tried and found guilty even if you weren't there. It happens. I'm a judge and I've seen it happen. I've been part of those trials. So you got to appear. If you don't appear, you could be found guilty. And if we couldn't track you down and sentence you within 90 days, you'd lose your rights on appeal. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, you take care of yourself. Show up at your hearings, all right?
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
It's beautiful. Just looking at that right now.
Good evening. Are you Joseph Yoon?
Yes.
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Yoon. This is a time set for your initial appearance. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. We're here because what I'm seeing is you have warrants on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different charges. Looks like back in May of 2023, they've been around for a while. Did you know you had a warrant?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I don't want to be in jail neither because I don't feel safe here. And I don't feel comfortable in here neither.
Well,
I don't want to be in jail.
hold on. Most people don't feel comfortable in jail. That's not the question. The question is you're not following up on your warrant. But here's what I'm going to do. Listen closely. I'm going to tell you when you got to be where, and I'm going to give you some conditions. Okay. All right. I'm going to order that you be released on your promise to appear at the next court hearing, which will be on January 9, 2025 at, stand by. At 9 a.m. in front of Judge Blue in Tucson City Court. If you don't appear, a warrant issues and you're sitting in jail again, and nobody's going to ask you if you want to be there or not. You're going to be there. So you need to appear. I'm going to give you this date in writing. Can you do that for me? Can you appear?
Yeah.
Good man. All right. A couple other conditions. All right. Do not possess or consume alcoholic beverages or illegal drugs. Possess no firearms or weapons. Surrender any that you might have. No contact of any kind with the named victim in the case, and do not go to the incident location. Can you follow those rules? I'm going to give them to you in writing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You'll be released a little later on. Just make sure you go to that hearing on January 9, 2025, 9 a.m. in Tucson City Court in front of Judge Blue. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. You take care. Bye-bye.
Oh, yeah, well, let's see your personal.
Good evening. You are Michael Lara, correct?
Yes, sir. That's correct, Your Honor.
Good evening, Mr. Lara. This is a time set for your initial appearance. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Mr. Lara, I have before me an interim complaint alleging 2 counts of aggravated assault, domestic violence, strangulation, and 2 counts of domestic violence kidnapping. Again, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. All I'm going to do tonight is set release conditions and tell you when your next hearing is. I'll hear first from the state, then I'll hear from the public defender's office through the lawyer sitting next to you. Okay, Mr. Goodman, I see the state's requesting $30,000 of pretrial services.
That's correct, Your Honor. That's based on the nature of the offense, the lethality associated, noted on the recommendation with these types of matters, the views of the victim, who I believe is present on with us, who may want to provide additional input. But understandably, again, he may have no criminal history, but based on the nature of the offenses, the state feels a bond is warranted.
Thank you. And do we have anybody who wanted to address the court in this matter? Perhaps no? Okay. You didn't get a call? No, we don't have anybody, Peter. Okay, go ahead, Twyla.
Judge, we're asking that Mr. Lara is released to pretrial services. He's a lifelong resident of Tucson and he has no felony history. Also, he believes he's able to go to his cousin's house. They've been closed for a long time. He believes that he can go to his cousin's house. He does intend to get inpatient treatment from La Frontera. So he intends to go to his cousin's house while he's getting treatment set up with La Frontera.
Oh, they already said.
The treatment is already set up. It's just he can go to his cousin's house as a transition to get to La Frontera.
Thank you, counsel. In this case, I do find, based on all of the information provided to the court, including but not limited to the pretrial services report, that I think a bond is warranted, significant bond. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $25,000 cash or secured pretrial services if bond is posted. Conditions include no alcohol, illegal drugs, commit no act of domestic violence, possess no firearms or weapons, surrender any firearms or weapons that you have. Monitoring and treatment is directed by pretrial services. No contact with victim Karen Bulio. Do not go to the incident location. If defendant, you want to check with Mr. Lara, Ms. Haggerty, does he live at the alleged incident location?
Yes, Judge.
Okay.
But he would not go back there, obviously.
Okay, he doesn't need to go back for belongings. I'm going to order that if he does post bond, he may return with a police escort to pick up belongings. However, there must be a police escort. The next hearing is a preliminary hearing set for December 20, 2024 at 1:30 p.m. in Pima County Justice Court. If you post bond, Mr. Lara, that date will likely change. It's important you keep in touch with your assigned public defender and with pretrial services personnel. Okay, thank you, sir.
All right. Hey.
Hello, are you Chase Swiderek?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Swiderek. This is a time set for your initial appearance. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. I have an interim complaint alleging unlawful use of means of transportation, possession of narcotic drug, and possession of drug paraphernalia. I will hear from the state, then I'll hear from Ms. Haggerty, the public defender sitting next to you, and then I'll tell you what's going to happen. All right. Mr. Goodman, the state's requesting Mr. Swiderek be held no bond pursuant to Article 2. Is that correct?
That's correct, in addition to no contact with the co-defendant, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Haggerty.
Judge, we're asking for dismissal for the unlawful use of means of transportation. It was at his at his residence, but there isn't anything that indicates that he was driving it. So we're asking that charge is dismissed. And for the other ones, we're requesting a no bond hearing.
Okay. Your thoughts on the request for dismissal of the unlawful use of means of transportation, Mr. Goodman?
Your Honor, if I'm not mistaken, he's cited as the passenger violation, which is the A2. 1803A2, if I'm not mistaken.
What it is.
So he doesn't need to be driving. He just needs to be physically located in or transported in a vehicle that he had reason to know the other individual was in unlawful possession of that. And there was clear damage to the vehicle. So based on him being a passenger in that, I believe that satisfies probable cause.
Okay, Twyla, you get the last word.
Judge, it's conclusory that he was the passenger in the vehicle. There's nothing here that says that anybody saw him as a passenger, just that the vehicle was parked at his residence.
Okay, I do think the interim complaint passes muster. I'm going to deny the request to dismiss the unlawful means of transportation. I'm going to order the defendant be held without bond Also, that the defendant have no contact with the alleged co-defendant in this matter. The next hearing will be a no bond hearing on December 16, 2024 at 2:30 p.m. in Division TO, Pima County Superior Court. I'll appoint the Legal Defender's Office to represent Mr. Swiderek in this matter. Okay, Mr. Swiderek, you'll get a lawyer from the Legal Defender's Office and you'll meet probably Judge Metzger in a couple days. Thank you.
Thank you. Ariosa, Cooker, Hill, Leos, Martinez. Stay in order, please. Ariosa up front. Want you to snake around, sit right again. Snake around. Snake around. Please. Yes. 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 Yes.
You're already here. You're not breathing.
Stevens.
You are Giovanni Ariosa, yes?
Roman Abdukarimov.
Oh, who do we have? Stand by, please. You're Roman. How do you say your last name one more time?
Abdukarimov.
Very well, thank you. You are Roman Abdukarimov, yes?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. I just pulled up the wrong file. Be right with you, Mr. Abdukarimov. Okay, good evening. This is the time set for your initial appearance. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Looks like you've been charged out of Tucson, by the Tucson Police Department with theft of means of transportation, possession of narcotic drugs, and possession of drug paraphernalia. All I'm going to do tonight, Mr. Abdukarimov, is set release conditions and tell you when your next hearing is. I'll hear first from the state. You'll hear a voice of a man, see what they recommend. And then I'll hear from the public defender sitting next to you, and then I'll tell you what's going to happen. Okay, Mr. Goodman, you're suggesting pretrial services, but keep the earlier preliminary hearing date due to the co-defendant, yes?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. I would be so inclined, Ms. Haggerty, do you need to make a record?
No, Judge.
Okay, let me just type something out. Okay, what I'm going to do, or I'm going to order as follows, is on the interim complaint, I'm going to order that Mr. Abdukarimov be released to pretrial services. Conditions include monitoring and treatment as directed by pretrial services. No alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons, surrender any that he does have. No contact with the alleged victim. No contact with the co-defendant. And yeah, I'm going to appoint the PD's office to represent Mr. Abdukarimov in this matter. The next hearing is the preliminary hearing set for December 20, 2024 at 1:30 p.m. in Pima County Justice Court. Mr. Abdukarimov, you're going to get all this in writing. That date I just gave you, the December 20 date, will very likely change. So it's really important you keep in touch with your assigned public defender and pretrial services so you know when the new date is, because if you don't show and it changes, warrant issues and you're back over at the jail. Can you follow my rules?
Yes.
Okay, great. We're not done yet because you got some at Tucson City Court. Looks like
Information of a co-defendant, should we appoint a different office?
I think I pointed the legal defender for the other one because it was no bond.
Oh, okay.
I think
Oh, sorry.
I think I did,
Yeah.
Twyla. No, I thought about that. Good catch.
Okay.
The guy before Mr. Abdukarimov, it was a one held no bond. I would have appointed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Twyla. Okay, you're done, Mr. Abdukarimov.
Oh, Judge.
Oh, no, wait, no, I'm not. You're not done. Okay,
Interrupted you.
now you threw me all off. Okay, here we go.
No.
All right, listen, Mr. Abdukarimov, you have a couple of warrants out of Tucson City Court for criminal defacing or damaging and unlawful possession of narcotic paraphernalia. Did you know you had these warrants?
Yes, sir.
All right, you got to deal with them. I appreciate your honesty. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to release you on these ones as well. The next hearing will be on January 9, 2025 at 2 p.m. Pretrial hearing in front of Judge Hale in Tucson City Court. So this is a different court. You got to make sure you appear, okay? Conditions include do not possess or consume alcoholic beverages or illegal drugs. No contact of any kind with the alleged victim, and do not go to the incident location. You're going to get this in writing, so no excuses. You got to make sure you show up, okay? Okay, can you follow those rules too?
Yes.
All right. Okay, you take care. Bye-bye. Snuck a lot in here, Jim.
Ariosa.
Good evening. Are you Giovanni Ariosa? Twyla, you may be.
I'm not muted, Judge.
Good evening. Are you Giovanni Ariosa?
Yes.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Ariosa. This is the time set for your initial appearance. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. We got to deal with a couple things here tonight, okay? The first is going to be an interim complaint from the Pima County Sheriff's Department for burglary in the third degree and possession of drug paraphernalia. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. What I'm going to do on this one, Mr. Ariosa, is set some release conditions and tell you when your next court hearing is. And I got to talk to you about some Tucson City Court stuff too. You'll hear a voice from a man. He's a deputy prosecutor. He's going to talk to me about recommendations, and I'll talk to the lady next to you from the public defender's office, and I'll tell you what's happened. Okay, Peter, go ahead.
Your Honor, we're just requesting some form of a bond, even if the court believes 5,000 isn't appropriate. He's currently on felony release out of a Cochise County for that matter, where he was previously arrested, released ROR, and then failed to appear. I looked up that Cochise matter on public access, and it appears to be in warrant status again. So the state believes some form of a bond to ensure his appearance, at least in this matter, would be appropriate, and he is maxed out on both scales.
Okay. Ms. Haggerty, your thoughts?
Judge, we're asking that Mr. Ariosa is released to pretrial, or if you're not inclined, a lower bond. The charge is identified as nonviolent, and he's a lifelong resident of Tucson.
Thank you. I'm going to order bond in the amount of $2,500 cash or secured to the defendant post bond, pretrial services supervision. Conditions include no alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons, surrender any firearms he does have. Monitoring and treatment is directed by pretrial services. No contact with the alleged victim business. Do not return to the incident location. The next hearing will be, I'll appoint the public defender's office to represent Mr. Ariosa in this matter. The next hearing will be on December 20, 2024 at 1:30 p.m. in Pima County Justice Court. You're going to get all this in writing, Mr. Ariosa. I know I'm moving quickly here, but you'll get it in writing so you can read it. You got to appear at that hearing that if you do post bond. If not, you'll be transported by the jail. But that hearing date will likely change, so it's important you keep in touch with your lawyer and with pretrial services. Okay, you also have some city matters. Looks like you have warrants for drug paraphernalia, criminal trespass, a couple of those, disorderly conduct, criminal defacing or damage of property. You have a bunch of these warrants out of Tucson City Court. What I'm going to do on these is I'm going to release you on your promise to appear in Tucson City Court on these matters at a pretrial hearing on January 9, 2025 in front of Judge Cranshaw. It's important you appear. If you don't appear, a warrant will issue. Conditions include possess or consume no alcoholic beverages or illegal drugs. Possess no firearms or weapons, surrender any that you have. No contact of any kind with any of the property owners or victims of the disorderly conduct or criminal trespass or theft, and do not go to the incident locations. All right, you're going to get all this in writing, sir. So make sure if you do post bond or otherwise release that you show up for these hearings, okay? Thank you, Mr. Ariosa. You're excused.
Cooker. Yeah, I have to go back under. No, Ariosa, gentlemen.
Hi, are you Yvonne Cooker?
I am.
Good evening, Ms. Cooker. This is the time set for your initial appearance. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. First thing I'm going to deal with is an interim complaint where there's allegations of paraphernalia, possession, and dangerous and narcotic drug possession. Mr. Goodman, I understand the state's moving to dismiss without prejudice.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm going to dismiss this matter without prejudice. That means the state, just so you know, Ms. Cooker, that means the state could in the future refile the charges, but as of right now, they're dismissing it without prejudice. So I'm going to grant that request, and you'll be released on this matter. You have city court, something here in city court. You got warrants for criminal trespass in the 3rd degree and criminal damage. Did you know you have those warrants?
I did not know that. I know
Okay,
how to go to.
that's fine. That's fine. Okay. I mean, it's amazing how nobody knows how they have warrants. Every now and then somebody admits it, and you wouldn't believe how much credit I give them for that. But if you're going to say you didn't somehow, whatever. I am going to release you on your promise to appear at the next hearing, which will be a pretrial hearing on January 10, 2025 at 2 p.m. in front of Judge Mayhew in Tucson City Court. My conditions of release shall include do not possess or consume any alcoholic beverages or illegal drugs, no contact of any kind with the alleged victims in the case, and do not go to the incident location. So can you follow those rules, Ms. Cooker? Okay, now you know you have warrants, right? So you know you got to deal with them. If not, you'll just get picked up and you'll be in jail again, and you don't want to deal with them, right? You may think, why is this guy being hard on me? It just makes me sad to see young people in jail with what might be a drug problem just making the same mistake. So I really hope you get this figured out, okay?
Okay.
You take care of yourself, all right? Okay, bye-bye.
Cooker, just go back to where you were in outside, okay?
Good evening. Are you William Hill?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Hill. This is a time set for your initial appearance. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. What I'm looking at, Mr. Hill, is something called an interim complaint filed by the Tucson Police Department where they alleged unlawful discharge of firearms. I'm going to hear first from the state about release conditions, what they're recommending. Then I'll hear from the lady next to you from the public defender's office. Then I'll tell you what my ruling is going to be, and I'll tell you when the next hearing is, okay?
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Goodman, state's requesting 10,000, huh?
Yes, Your Honor, and I would imagine during the grand jury proceedings, we would propose additional charges. This is very disturbing conduct, even though right now, again, it's only charged as an unlawful discharge. He basically fired off a firearm during a domestic dispute, and also, according to the witness, Thelma Hill, threatening to also harm himself. So this is very disturbing domestic conduct involving the use or discharge of a firearm. And we would ask the court to order no contact with Thelma Hill and do not return. It's very alarming conduct, Judge.
Okay, Ms. Haggerty, your thoughts?
Judge, we're asking that Mr. Hill's released to pretrial services. He is fully employed. He owns a business. He has no employees. So this business, it's a tool shop. It's open Monday through Saturday. He has no employees. If he's not there, the business isn't running. He recently bought the business and he has to work to pay back loans. Pretrial services identified this as a nonviolent felony. He's been living in Tucson for 20 years. He has no criminal history. So we're asking that he's released to pretrial services.
Thank you, counsel. What I'm going to order is as follows. I'm going to release Mr. Hill to pretrial services supervision. Conditions shall include no alcoholic beverages or illegal drugs. Monitoring and treatment is directed by pretrial services. No firearms or weapons, surrender any firearms that he has. At this point, even though Ms. Hill had indicated to pretrial services, it doesn't appear she was uncomfortable having contact. Given the information available to me, I am uncomfortable. So I'm going to order that, at least as of right now, Mr. Hill, you have no contact with Thelma Hill until you get in front of the assigned judge if it goes forward, and he or she can address that change if you want to make that through an attorney. Do not go to the incident location except you may return one time with a police escort to pick up your belongings. The preliminary hearing on December 30, 2024 at 1:30 p.m. Mr. Hill, that date will likely change, so it's very important. Two things. Keep in touch with pretrial services and keep in touch with your public defender. Can you follow all those rules? You'll get them in writing. Can you follow them?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you take care, sir. Take care of yourself, all right?
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Leos.
Judge Clay Hernandez for Mr. Leos.
Hey, Clay. All right. Yeah, I saw your special limited notice of appearance. Okay. Good evening. Are you Pedro Leos?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
Good evening, Mr. Leos. This is the time set for your initial appearance in this matter. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. I'm looking at what appears to be a warrant, outstanding warrant in this case. Your lawyer, Clay Hernandez, is on the line. I'll hear from him. First, I'll hear from the assigned prosecutor, and then we'll go from there. Mr. Goodman, looks like you're requesting $50,000 bond pursuant to grand jury warrant, yes?
That is correct, Your Honor, and this is an attorney general case that they consulted me on, and I'm specially covering this for them. Essentially, Judge, he's got two similar prior felony convictions. This was a large-scale investigation into a drug trafficking organization where the defendant and 13 co-defendants collectively involved the distribution of over 40 kilos of cocaine, which is an estimated value of up to $875,000. His involvement included transporting cocaine to one of the co-defendants. When the officer tried to do a traffic stop, he fled in his vehicle, continued driving erratically after agents stopped and following, and he crashed into a fence. And a search warrant was executed at his, I believe, his residence, where they found 2 pounds of cocaine and a little over half a pound of marijuana. So the court would imagine typically grand jury warrants have to issue because people's whereabouts are unknown. And in this case, it involves a substantial quantity of drugs, and he fled from law enforcement.
Okay. Mr. Hernandez, your thought?
Thank you, Judge. I do not have the pretrial services workers report. However, I don't believe my client has any felonies. I will defer to pretrial on that. It just happened in October 2022. Last week, DEA Special Agent Amber Bernard was contacting friends of my clients or family members. He contacted us and we spoke with her. This was last Thursday. We arranged last Thursday to turn him in today. And he had 5 days in which to do whatever he needed to do. And he appeared at the jail with me this morning to turn himself into a couple of Drug Enforcement Administration agents. And he did so as he promised. Since October 2022, he's had no problems. There's no involvement no evidence of any involvement in similar situations since then. Again, I am doubtful of the 2 priors, but I don't have the pretrial services report So just as an attorney general case, as the state indicated, I spoke with Ms. Morrow, who is the prosecutor of the case, and she told me while she's out of town today, she has no objection to his release. And I'd ask the court to either release him on his own recognizance or to pretrial services.
Okay, Clay, just so you know, I'm looking at the pretrial services report. Looks like a 2000 conviction out of Los Angeles for possession of marijuana for sale. Looks like your client, at least according to the information I have, probation for 5 years, did a year, probably, it says a year in jail. Conviction was set aside in February of 2020. And then there's something that says Tucson, Arizona DEA. Looks like marijuana, it just says marijuana back in 2008. And it says 120 months. So that sounds a lot like a federal matter, but released to supervision back in September of 2017. So that's the information I have. Okay.
Judge, if I may add something just as a reflection on pretrial services.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, hold on, Twyla. I don't need you to. And please,
Okay.
please don't take that the wrong way. I don't need you to. What I'm going to do is, and especially based on the information provided to me by Mr. Hernandez, specifically the defendant turned himself in, and the conversation with Ms. Morrow, I am going to order as follows. I'm going to release the defendant to pretrial services supervision. The conditions shall include no alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons, surrender any firearms that he has. Monitoring treatment is directed by pretrial services, and Clay, are you going to stay on, or do I need to appoint counsel, or what?
Judge, it happened so fast that I think we probably will stay on, and I'm comfortable with the court doing that at this point. I just didn't want to get down the road and have another judge say, well, why did you jump in when you did if you're not going to stay on the case? So I'm comfortable with you leaving us on, Judge.
Okay.
And if that becomes an issue, I'll let the courts know.
And Clay, if you don't mind, it's just I have this computer form I have to fill out. This would be privately retained, yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm going to order that. The next hearing looks like the arraignment on December 17, 2024 at 1:30 p.m. in Pima County Superior Court. Mr. Leos, make sure you keep in touch with Mr. Hernandez. Bottom line is you want to be at that arraignment. And Clay will tell you what happens next, okay?
Oh, sorry, Judge, I had it on.
Fair enough. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Clay, you got anything else for me on this?
No, Judge, it's good to talk to you.
Yeah. And Peter, I'll note that I'm releasing pretrial services over the state's objection.
Understood, Judge.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Leos. You can go.
Thank you. Stefano?
Yeah.
Martinez.
Good evening. Are you Jose Martinez?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Martinez. I appreciate your patience. This is the time set for your initial appearance. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Looks like we have some action here in Pima County Justice Court. There's an interim complaint alleging possession of dangerous drug and paraphernalia and tampering with physical evidence. And I got to deal with some Tucson City Court cases. Looks like the state is moving to dismiss the drug case without prejudice. Correct, Peter?
Yes, which includes the tampering charge as well, Judge. Everything dismissed without prejudice.
Thank you. I misspoke. Twyla, you don't need to make a record, do you?
No, Judge.
Okay. All right. What that means, Mr. Martinez, is the new case, the drug possession case, the state's moving to dismiss it without prejudice. I'm going to grant it. They could come back later and refile the charges. So, you know, if you get picked up, don't say, hey, Judge Marner dismissed it forever. That's not what I'm doing. All right. I'm just dismissing it without prejudice. They may follow up. They may not. I don't know. Okay. But we got to deal with this Tucson City Court stuff. It looks like you got a lot of action here. All right. Looks like you have warrants for threats, intimidation, 3 for shoplifting, and at least 1 for DUI. Why aren't you dealing? Go ahead.
I think we might have, I'm confused with somebody. There's just a citation. A shoplifting citation. I think it might be.
Hold on, hold on. For some reason, you're blasting me with the speaker. It must be turned up real high. So just hold on 1 second.
So there's the new section issue, but then we also found those other cases where they were just about to issue warrants. So we have to just like include everything.
Okay, but usually they're in one of those lines. That looks like it's just all warrants, yes?
Yeah, I think that the new case is the one that I put the yellow highlight next to.
Ah, okay, yeah, okay.
So
Thanks. Okay, thank you, Twyla. The clerk explained to me, I'm just not reading something correctly. Okay, here's what we have. I'm gonna arraign you on what theft of a shoplifting charge. And I gotta read this thing first. Stand by. Okay. Yeah, you've been charged with a new theft shoplifting charge. You have the right to remain silent on all these. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You're presumed innocent. You're presumed not guilty of the new theft shoplifting charge, just as you are all the others. I'll enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to set release conditions on all these and tell you when your next hearing is. Given, you keep getting in trouble and the new cases and the warrants, I think I better impose some bond because you're not showing up. I'm going to order bond the amount of $2,500 cash are secured on all these. Should you post bond, no alcohol or illegal drugs, don't possess them. Possess no firearms, surrender any that you do have, no contact with any of the businesses, and do not return to the incident location. I'm going to appoint the city public defender's office to represent you in these matters. And the next hearing is a video review hearing on December 2024 at 1:45 p.m. in Tucson City Court in front of Judge Kate Farena. If you make bond, you got to make sure you show up or another warrant will issue that'll just add to the list. If you don't, you'll appear probably by way of video. Okay, thank you, sir. You're excused. Okay, Twyla, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good computer.
Good night, Twyla. Have a good night, Your Honor.
Good night, Peter. And Twyla, I didn't mean to cut you off on that thing with Clay. I knew what I was going to do, so I didn't hear anything. Okay. Good night, everybody. Yeah, something about that. The speaker was blowing me away. Yeah. Okay, gang. Hey. Let's see if I get trapped in the garage. Poor Jimmy. All right, I think I'm here next Wednesday. Okay.
You're the Tucson, my friend so dear. We gather today, it's crystal clear. From the streets of Congress to Mount Lemon's Peak, united we stand strong and sleek. Old Pueblo's pride, under the desert sun. From the barrios to the ranches, we are one. We walk hand in hand through the cactus and sand. Together we rise tall and grand. Tucson is home, where